It's Monday, the 31st of May 2021. Good morning, Africa. On iAfrica TV, welcome to your favorite morning show, which is the Good Morning Africa program on iAfrica TV. And thank you so very much for the pleasure of your company. And I hope that you all have a very nice weekend, because I actually do have a very, very nice weekend. Mbokk yi ñu leen di nuyu di leen dalalaat fii suñ beneen édition yi Good Morning Africa programme bi fu waay munti nekk rek si biir réew mi ak si bitim réew rek ñu leen jaajëfal bu baax si anda bi ngeen anda safo di anda si ñuñ si iAfrica programme bi amaan mbégte lool nag delluwaat tey si Monday edition ni Good Morning Africa programme bi comme nuñ ko dee baaxoo di defee rek saa su ne rek si suñ Good Morning Africa programme bi dañ dee andi suñ studio stories yi follow by analysis of issues yoo xam ne dañ dee happen si biir réew mi ak si bitim réew ñu andi leen tamit newspaper review su amee waaw jërë ngeen jëf nag si ànd bi si kolu ak si kolute bi tey nag si Good Morning Africa programme bi am nañ leen stories yu interesting comme luñ ko dee defee rek saa su ne am nañ TRRC bi fii xam nañ ne TRRC bi léegi fu mu nekk nii jeex na loolu dinañ leen ko andil voter registration bi start na Saturday bi bu romba ni la voter registration be start in the Gambia here. Te xam nañ ne voter registration bi dafa am solo lool, because without the voter registration képp koo xam ne register wuloo si voter nga am voters card doo mun a vote si upcoming election bi loolu mu nekk loo xam ne dafa am solo torop so ñii yëpp dañ war a dem ñu register mu nekk loo xam ne dafa am solo torop lii ak leneen dafa ñëw si Good Morning Africa programme bi. Like I said, we have very interesting stories this morning. We have the TRRC, which just concluded their hearings. And of course, we have a story on the voter registration, which is very, very important right now, because the upcoming election, without the voters card, you cannot register for you cannot vote in the upcoming presidential election, and of course, the subsequent elections, which are to come after the presidential election. With that, we start matters off with the TRRC. As we all know that they just ended their session, so we are going to start with that, because Lamin JCC, Chairman of the Truth, Reconciliation and Reparation Commission, said testimonies heard at the commission has revealed the fearful nature of Jammeh's 22-year rule. The TRRC chairman made the remarks while giving his closing statement after the commission completed its public hearings on Friday. He has also spoken about the aftermath of Jammeh's departure and the vision he oversees for the Gambia. Omar Ahmadu Toure tells us more of the story.
Chairman Cisse says Gambia is known for its peaceful coexistence and tolerance, and so it is astounding to hear the atrocities narrated at the Truth Commission. He says the atrocities committed during Jammeh's 22-year rule showed how Jammeh paranoid Gambians.
The testimonies heard during these 872 days of public hearings brought pain and bewilderment to the population. They could not believe that the atrocities they were hearing from witnesses could occur in their country. The commission of these atrocities by Jammeh and his cohorts achieved the desired effect of instilling fear among the Gambian population. It also gave them, as Jammeh and his cohorts, time and the space to pillage the resources of the country.
Cisse says Jammeh's delusional billion-year rule has been miraculously abridged to 22 years. He asserts that Jammeh is gone, and so also are the atrocities committed under his regime, while some perpetrators confess to crimes they have committed. Chairman Cisse further sums up the aftermath of Jammeh and has envisioned that citizens should have a unity of purpose.
The crocodiles in Canning lay submerged in a dirty pond, while the peacocks in Jammeh's palatial grounds cry out ceaselessly and purportedly for their departed master. The chaos we recently saw at these grounds in Canning must not be the chaos in our country in the wake of the demise of the Jammeh regime. Our collective effort to build a new and a better Gambia must not, and I earnestly believe will not, be squandered. We must confront our recent and difficult history in order to establish a new governance and sustainable structure to move the country forward, to take its rightful place among developed societies.
The Truth Commission has successfully ended its public hearing of testimonies of the victims and self-confessed perpetrators of human rights violations and abuses that occurred during Zambia's 22-year rule. The Commission is expected to produce a report containing findings and recommendations. The document that will be submitted to the President by July will guide the justice and reparation process to ensure national healing. Reporting for iAfrica TV, this is Omar Ahmadou Toure.
Omar Ahmadou Toure on that report about the TRRC. Well, as you know, every good thing or every bad thing must come to an end. The TRRC has finally wrapped up their session, public hearing session, and now we are waiting for their recommendation, which will be sent to the President. At least we are expecting it to be at least a month, which will be sent to the President, and then from there we will see what the recommendations of the TRRC will be after 2 years of, public hearings. What is the most important thing here is to reconcile as one nation. Of course, we heard, very, very horrible stories which are narrated at the Truth Commission about Jammeh and of course his close associate, about how people are murdered, how people are victimized, and of course how people are forcefully detained or tortured without committing any crimes. We all heard about these horrible tales at the Truth Commission, but what is more important here, after all that is said and done, is for us as Gambians to reconcile, to be one people again, and then to say never again. The never again campaign, if we really mean it, is for all of us to come together, reconcile, and be one people, and forget about all that has happened. And of course, those who are supposed to face justice, of course they will face justice, but what is important as it is the Truth, Reconciliation and Reparation Commission. At the end of the day, what is more important for us as Gambia is to reconcile and be one people. Lo mu nekk loo xam ne dafa am solo torop. TRRC bi léegi jeex na, dégg nañ lu fi xewoon under the 22-year rule of former President Yahya Jammeh, waaye léegi daal lu gën a am solo rek moo nekk ñu booloo nekk benn, ñu baalalante ak ñu nekk benn, ñu Gambia bi lañ fi am, ñu ñoo bokk ndey ak baay. So xam naa ne daal lu fi xewoon doy na waar torop, metti na lool, waaye nag lu gën a am solo rek moo nekk ñu yëpp ñu booloo nekk benn, ñu baalalante ak, because suñ baalalute ak rek du baax, dëkk bi du dem si kanam. So fa ñu baalalante ak rek, dëgg la yéen yi duñ ko mun a faate, waaye lu gën a am solo rek moo nekk ñu baalalante ak rek, ñu develop suñ dëkk bi, ñu make sure ne dëkk bi dem si kanam. Loolu moo gën a am solo fu mu nekk ni. With that story, we move on to the matters of the National Audit Office, because the National Audit Office has, during a recent press briefing, announced the submission of 7 reports to the National Assembly for scrutiny. Of the list of reports before forwarded to lawmakers, the Director of Audit Performance Unit noted that the very few have so far been discussed in chambers. Detail in this report by Amindao.
The National Assembly, as an oversight body of the National Audit Office, in executing its mandate, is expected to scrutinize audit reports, after which they will be available for public consumption. However, the National Audit Office appears to be waiting on the National Assembly for the adoption of the audit reports or otherwise. The Director of the Audit Performance Unit at the National Audit Office, Baba Drame, said several reports have already been shared with the Parliament.
It is the responsibility of the National Assembly to discuss our audit reports, to hold those charged with governance the responsibility to make sure that our recommendations are implemented. But as I explained, we have sent 7 reports to the National Assembly since the inception of the Performance Audit Unit. None of the reports have been discussed, and if they have been discussed, that would have pushed the relevant officers to implement the audit recommendation, which would have translated into better service delivery, and also which would have improved the life of citizens of the Gambia.
In the explanation of Mr. Drame, the Assembly had dealt with previous reports on time, but it appears that the queue is a bit long towards the scrutiny table.
But it's not only these reports that have not yet been discussed. These are the performance audit reports. There are other reports, government account reports that were not discussed on time. Recently, they have discussed, I think, 2017 and 2018. Those were submitted earlier on, but they were recently discussed.
Among the list of reports to be discussed by lawmakers includes the Emergency Obstetric Care Report, which was awarded as the Report of the Year. As the Supreme Audit Institution of the Gambia, it is responsible for the audit of government institutions and public bodies with the support of other government partners to ensure that recommendations are acted upon. Reporting for iAfrica News, I am Amindao.
Yes, the National Audit Office sent 7 reports at least to the National Assembly for scrutiny. We all know that after the work done by the National Audit Office, the report will be sent to the National Assembly for possible scrutiny. And last year, what we realized that is that most of the companies have not been compliant. They are not compliant. It's in terms of their activity report, and of course, because we tax to that company is not being compliant, tax compliant, or the company is spending lavishly on things that are not necessary. Or sometimes you even see, where their spendings are, their activity report and their financial statement. A lot of the issues are happening in their financial statements because a lot of the things that they write, sometimes the figures will not even tally. And they will write this here, and at the end of the day, you realize now what is written up is not tallying with the figures down. So all these things are very, very important. So the National Assembly, I would urge all journalists to go to the National Assembly during the scrutiny of these reports, because it tells a lot actually what people are actually doing in this country, and those that will give the responsibility to how they are really executing their responsibilities. Lolu mo neka lo xamne dafa am solo torop. National Audit Office bi mo neka fana boo xam ne dafa responsible pour audit institutions, government institutions ak parastatals yoo xam ne ñu ngi liggéey fii si biir réew mi gaay audit gaay ñu xam ne si lan lañ spend seen koom-koom bi si ban fana la dem.